The sky above the alien world was always dark, not because of night, but because of fear. A massive, swirling hole floated above the tallest mountain. It made no sound, no light, and no wind, yet every creature in the galaxy knew its name. The mouth of no return. No alien had ever gone through it and come back. Stories said it ate ships, erased memories, or worse, stole your soul. Entire alien civilizations had tested it with drones, with machines, with sacrifices. But the result was always the same. Nothing came back, not even a signal, that day. Many alien leaders stood around the edge of the black pit. They came to watch. A fool, a human. He was not a scientist, not a warrior, not even a diplomat. His name was Captain Ray Carter. He wore no armor, carried no weapons, and smiled too much. Aliens whispered among themselves, "Does he want to die?" Maybe he's broken inside. Humans are strange. But this one is insane. Ray looked up at the hole, then at the aliens watching him. "I've read your warnings," he said calmly. "I've seen your fear, but fear is just a locked door, and I'm here to open it." The Council of Alien Elders stepped back. One elder shouted, "Human, you have no idea what this is. Our kind lost thousands trying to understand it." Ray nodded slowly. "I believe you," he replied. "But maybe you were asking the wrong question." The ground under the hole shimmered slightly. Small rocks floated into the air, then dropped again. The energy field around the hole felt like standing near thunder. And still, Ray walked forward. One alien reached out to stop him, but pulled back. Touching someone about to enter the hole was said to bring misfortune. The legends were full of ghost stories. Ray stood right at the edge now. He looked down. There was nothing to see. Just darkness that pulled the eyes and made the soul tremble. He closed his eyes and smiled. Sometimes the only way forward is down, he whispered. He took one step, then another, and then, with the eyes of 17 alien races watching, he leaped into the hole. Silence followed. No flash, no sound. No scream, just gone. The crowd stood frozen. Even the wind seemed to stop. One young alien girl, her skin pale blue and her eyes wide, whispered. He didn't hesitate. The alien elders looked at each other. "What do we tell the rest?" One asked, "That another life was lost." A second replied, "No," said a third elder, trembling. "We say a human just did what none of us ever could." Far away, in a hidden room beneath the mountain, a silent machine woke up. It had not moved in 1,000 years. But now, it blinked once, then twice, and then a soft voice inside it said, "Key. Accepted, human presence confirmed, system." Awakening, and deep inside the darkness of the hole, Ray Carter was not falling. He was floating. His body was surrounded by strange lights. His mind filled with voices, not his own, memories of places he had never seen, and yet he felt calm. He opened his eyes. He was not dead. He was somewhere else, somewhere that had been waiting. Just for him, everything was silent, but Ray's ears rang with a strange echo. His body didn't feel heavy, yet he didn't feel light either. He wasn't standing, falling, or floating. It was something in between, something that couldn't be explained with human words. Colors moved around him like living smoke. One moment, everything was green. The next, it turned gold. He reached out his hand, and the smoke pulled away as if afraid to touch him. He whispered, "Where?" AM1, and the space around him rippled like water struck by a pebble. There was no floor, no sky, no wind, but still. Ray's boots touched something. It looked like glass, but felt like warm sand. He walked slowly, step by step, his heart pounding. He looked behind him, but there was no hole, no way back, only shifting light and silence. Then, out of nowhere, he saw it, a giant structure. Broken and floating in the strange air, it looked like a temple. Old and covered in vines made of glowing crystal. Large stone steps led up into darkness. Strange markings were carved into the walls. They pulsed like veins, reacting to his presence. Ray moved closer. Brushing his hand over the writing, the symbols were not human. Not from any alien language he had studied, yet somehow he understood them, not as words, but as feelings. Welcome, child of instinct. Something clicked deep inside the temple. A soft hum began to rise from the ground. Then a doorway appeared, slowly folding out of thin air. Inside was a glowing pedestal with a small, strange object on it. It looked like a cube. But its sides kept changing shape and size. Ray stepped forward, curious. He picked up the object. The moment his fingers touched it, it stopped shifting. It became a cube again and turned warm in his hands. Then it spoke, not in sound, but directly. Into his mind, you are not the first to come, but you are the first to survive. Ray froze. What does that mean? He asked aloud. The cube glowed. Images filled his mind, visions of other creatures. Many arms, wings, tails, all of them leaping into the hole just like he did, but their bodies twisted, burned, or vanished into nothing. Their minds collapsed. Under pressure, they screamed, and then they were no more. Ray felt a chill crawl up his spine. He had made it where no other being could, not because he was stronger, not because he was smarter, but because he had something they didn't. He had taken the leap without needing a reason, without needing proof, just instinct. Suddenly, the lights dimmed. A presence stirred in the darkness beyond the temple walls. Something old, something powerful, something aware. It had seen Ray now, and it was watching him closely. Ray turned around and saw the cube slowly rise out of his hands and float. It projected a small blue beam that traced a path forward. Follow, it said in his mind, and he obeyed. As he walked deeper into the strange world, the colors shifted again. The air grew thicker. But not in a bad way, like breathing honey instead of air. He passed giant statues of unknown beings, all kneeling or broken. He passed a field of metal flowers that moved when he blinked, and he passed walls made of pure light, showing images of human history, things no alien should know. Then, suddenly, everything stopped. The path ended, and he stood at the edge of a cliff. But below wasn't land, it was a sky, and in the sky floated another figure, falling fast. Toward him, Ray's eyes widened. It wasn't a meteor. It wasn't a machine. It was someone. And she wasn't human. She was blue-skinned, with long silver hair and 4 delicate fingers on each hand. She was unconscious, falling through the air like a doll. Ray didn't think. He jumped, arms outstretched. The moment he touched her, the world around them shifted again. The sky turned black, then white, then exploded into color, and just like that, everything went quiet again. Ray opened his eyes. She was breathing. Still asleep, but alive. He looked at her, and then back at the strange sky above. He wasn't alone anymore, and this place, it had just become even more mysterious. The signal came like a scream in the dark. It was not loud, but it reached every scanner in the alien council chambers. A soft human voice speaking through static. "I'm still here," it said. That voice did not belong in that frequency. That frequency was dead space. Nothing ever came from it, until now. The alien elders stared at each other in frozen silence. One of them trembled, his long fingers clenching the table. "That's impossible," he whispered. "No one survives the hole," another voice snapped back. Then explained that message. The High Speaker of the Galactic Council, an old and wise being made of light and mist, stood slowly. "If a human truly lives inside, then everything we thought we knew is wrong." Panic spread across the chambers. Some aliens called it a trick. others a ghost. And a few feared something worse, that the human had awakened something ancient, a sleeping force they had buried. And forgotten because no one ever came back didn't mean no one was watching from within. Across the chamber, one alien did not join the panic. Her name was Vela. She was young, with pale blue skin and curious golden eyes. She stared at the glowing message, her heart pounding. It was not fear she felt. It was something deeper, something like a pull. Her father, one of the generals, tried to stop her from speaking. But she rose and asked the council a quiet question. What if he's not lost? The room went still again. What if he found something we couldn't? They laughed at her, called her naive, foolish, too young to understand. But she kept looking at the signal. That voice, there was something in it. Not fear, not pain. Hope, and something inside her said she had to go. That night, while the elders argued and sent out more drones, Vela made her decision. She stood alone at the edge of the black hole. She didn't bring weapons, only a translator device. She touched the edge of the stone platform and looked up. The stars seemed to blink slower near the hole, like time itself hesitated here. She closed her eyes, just like the human had done. And then, with one deep breath, she jumped, far away, in the strange world beyond the hole. Ray Carter suddenly felt a ripple in the air, like something alive had entered the room. He turned his head toward the sky above. The light twisted, bent, and then opened, and something fell through. He ran, his boots barely touching the glowing ground. The figure fell faster and faster, a blue blur in the glowing storm. Ray leaped just in time, catching her in his arms. The ground shifted under them, sending sparks of color into the sky. The alien girl was not moving, but she was breathing, alive. Ray laid her gently down on a soft patch of energy grass. He looked at her face, her silver hair glowing faintly. She was not from his world, but something about her seemed familiar, like a dream he had once but forgot. As he stared, the cube from before floated beside him. "You are no longer alone," it said inside his mind. This was always meant to happen. Ray frowned. "What is this place?" he asked. Again, the cube only repeated. A test behind him. The lights dimmed again. The giant statues they passed earlier began to hum. Their eyes flickered open. Stone faces twisted toward Ray and the girl. Something had been activated, not by him alone, but by the presence of two. Ray stood up, ready for anything. He didn't know what was coming, but for the first time since he jumped, he felt something stronger than fear. He felt purpose, and nearby, the alien girl slowly opened her eyes. Her lips moved with one word, soft and unsure. "You're human." Ray nodded, smiling a little. "Yeah," he said. "And we're not supposed to be here?" She looked around, eyes wide. "Then why are we still alive?" Ray looked toward the glowing temple ahead. "I think we're about to find out." The first thing Vela noticed was the warmth, not from the strange glowing ground or the shifting light in the sky, but from the human's hand gently holding her wrist. He didn't look afraid, he looked relieved. For a long second, she just stared at him. His face was strange, no markings, no ridges, no shine like her kind, but his eyes were calm, as if he had been waiting for her all along. She opened her mouth to speak again, but her voice cracked like dry leaves. Ray pulled a small flask from his side and handed it to her. "Water," he said. "Well, I hope it still is." She drank, coughed, then whispered, "You shouldn't be here." Ray gave a short laugh. "I get told that a lot." Around them, the strange landscape began to shift again. The sky above turned violet. The clouds moved. In reverse, the glowing grass pulsed in patterns, like it was listening. Vela sat up slowly, staring at the world around her. "This place isn't real," she muttered. Ray nodded. "It feels like a dream, But it's more than that. They stood together, both cautious, both curious. Ray looked at the floating cube that hovered beside him. It pulsed gently, waiting for them to move. "It showed me something," Ray said softly. "A memory. Or maybe a message." Vela stepped closer to the cube, her golden eyes narrowing. "Is it alive?" she asked. "I think it's something else," Ray answered. Like a guide, the cube moved forward, leading them through a field of metal vines that curled like sleeping snakes. Each step they took made the world shift slightly. Gravity changed direction, colors bent sideways, and strange melodies echoed with no source. But the two travelers kept walking, drawn by the pull of something just ahead. They entered a massive hallway made of glass that reflected stars from unknown skies. Vela touched one of the walls and saw her childhood memories dancing inside the reflection. She pulled her hand back quickly. Shaken, Ray looked into another panel and saw Earthbutt broken. Burning, he clenched his jaw and stepped away. "This place knows us," he said. "It sees everything." Vela added, her voice low. At the end of the hallway, a wide chamber opened, filled with pillars of light rising into the sky. In the center stood a tall figure, frozen in place, made of metal and stone. Its face was covered by a mask with 3 glowing eyes. Ray approached carefully. "Another statue?" he asked. As soon as he got close, the statue's eyes lit up. A loud hum shook the ground. The cube beside them rose quickly, flashing bright blue. "Warning," it said. "Guardian protocol active." Vela grabbed Ray's arm and pulled him back just in time. As the statue moved, its arms came to life, long and sharp like blades. It didn't speak with a voice, but the sound of cracking stone filled the chamber like a scream. Ray backed away, shielding Vela behind him. "I think it doesn't like us," he said. "It's protecting something," Vela whispered. "But what?" The Guardian slammed one fist into the ground, sending a shockwave that knocked them down. Ray rolled and reached for the cube, shouting, "Tell it, we're not enemies." But the cube didn't answer. Its light dimmed, as if waiting for something else. The statue raised its arm again, glowing hot. And then Vela did something strange. She stepped forward, slowly, arms open, her voice clear. She spoke an ancient word she had only heard in legends. "Michaela," she said. The Guardian stopped, its arm froze in place. Lights flickered across its body. Ray stared in disbelief. "What did you say?" he asked. "I don't know," she admitted, her voice shaking. "It just came to me." The statue slowly knelt, one leg down, head bowed, and then it spoke with a deep voice that shook the chamber. "You are not alone." The cube lit up again. Floating between them, it spun faster and released a beam of light that showed an image to figures standing side by side. One human, one alien. Above them, a great door opened, and from that door, light poured into darkness. Ray looked at Vela. "I think we were meant to meet," he said. Vela nodded, still breathless. "And I think this world is finally waking up." The hum began low, like a whisper from the bones of the world. Then it rose, deep and wide, making the pillars of light tremble. Ray felt the sound in his chest before he heard it in his ears. Vela grabbed his arm without thinking, her eyes locked on the statues around them. One by one, the silent giants were waking up. First their eyes lit up, then their fingers twitched. Then their feet shifted on the glowing ground. They did not speak, but their movement said one thing: intruders had arrived, and the test had begun. Ray stepped in front of Vela, but she moved beside him instead. They stood together as the nearest Guardian lifted a heavy, blade-like arm. Its edges shimmered like heat over steel. Ray raised his hands. "We're not here to fight." The statue paused, head tilting slightly. Another Guardian turned its head too. Then another, and another. A circle formed around them. Stone and metal bodies tall as towers, the cube floated between Ray and the Guardians. Its glow flickering fast. Unknown code detected, it said. Instinct and unity confirmed. The floor beneath their feet shifted like liquid glass. Symbols appeared under them, ancient and beautiful. Each one pulsed as if reading their hearts, not just their bodies. The Guardian closest to them lowered its blade and extended a hand. Its stone fingers opened, revealing a small metal key, glowing red. Ray hesitated. The cube spoke again. Only one may take it. He looked at Vela, who nodded slowly. This is your path, not mine. Ray reached forward. His fingers closing around the key. The moment he touched it, the world cracked. Not in pain, but in power. The walls split apart, revealing hidden chambers filled with stars. Images rushed into Ray's mind, memories, not his own. Worlds born and destroyed. Voices speaking in hundreds of forgotten languages. One line repeated. Through them all, courage is the gate. His knees buckled. Vela caught him, holding him up as light poured from his chest. The key had vanished, absorbed into his body. You're changing, she whispered. Ray gasped. It's too much. But then the lights calmed. The ground solidified. The Guardian stepped back and dropped to one knee. They bowed, not to power, but to choice. Ray stood up, wiping sweat from his face. He looked stronger now, not in muscle, but in presence. The cube hovered close and spoke clearly. Gatekeeper confirmed. Sanctuary unlocked. A giant door opened at the far end of the chamber. It had no hinges, no seams, yet it melted away like fog. Beyond it was a corridor made of floating. Light, Ray and Vela stepped forward slowly, unsure what lay ahead behind them. The Guardians remained still, watching silently. As they entered the corridor, a strange wind blew. It smelled of old books and fire, of time long gone. The corridor whispered to them. You are not the first. Vela looked at Ray. What is this place really? Ray didn't answer at first. He was looking at something only he could see. Inside the corridor walls, shadows moved, figures of ancient beings, both human and alien, walking side by side. Some crying, some laughing, some fighting, and some falling in love. Ray finally said, This isn't just a test site. It's a memory of what once was, and maybe what could be again, further ahead. The corridor split into 3 paths. Each one pulsed with a different color: red, blue, and white. The cube paused and then said, One leads forward, one leads back, one leads nowhere. Vela stepped back, unsure. Ray looked at all 3, then smiled and said, Let's take the one they're afraid of. He pointed toward the white path, and without waiting, he stepped into it. Vela followed close behind. The moment they entered, the corridor closed behind them, and somewhere deep beneath the strange world, something ancient stirred. Not evil, not good, but curious, because for the first time in 1,000 years, a human had passed the gate and brought someone with him. The light around them vanished all at once, not slowly, not gently, but like someone had blown out the sun. One blink ago, they were walking through a glowing corridor. Now they stood in complete blackness. Ray didn't move. He listened. Even his own breath sounded too loud in this silence. Vela gripped his sleeve tightly, her voice low and shaken. Where are we? A soft sound answered her. Not words, not even noise, but a pulse. Like a heartbeat from the walls around them. Ray turned his head slowly. It was coming from below. From deep under the surface they were standing on, without warning, the ground. Lit up beneath their feet, 1,000 small blue dots glowing like stars under glass. Then came a voice, not from the cube, not from their minds, but from everywhere at once. It sounded like metal being bent into music. You have unlocked the truth, it said, but the truth is not a gift, it is a price. Vila's eyes filled with fear. Ray stepped forward, his voice calm but firm. "We didn't come for power. We came for answers." The stars below their feet shifted, forming shapes. They showed a planet, lush and green. Then cities rose from it, glowing and clean. Ray watched silently as tiny human figures walked side by side with aliens, laughing, trading, building. Then the scene changed. Dark clouds rolled in, machines rose with red lights and cold voices. And one by one, the cities vanished. Vela whispered, "That was this place." Ray nodded. "A paradise that was lost." The voice returned, softer now. "It was never destroyed. It was locked. Because those who built it could not agree who should rule it." A low rumble shook the floor. The glowing stars disappeared again. Then a wall in front of them opened like a mouth. Inside was a vast chamber, unlike anything they had seen. Floating in the center was a large, ancient machine. Its shape was like a throne, but cracked and burned. And seated on it was a being frozen in time. Its armor was rusted, its skin dry like stone, but its eyes were still glowing faintly. Vela stepped back. "Is that alive?" Ray stared in silence, then whispered, "I think that was the last king." The voice answered again. He was the one who tried to control the world alone. And so the system shut down, waiting for a better choice. A choice not based on blood or strength, but one based on balance. Ray took another step closer. The machine on the throne hummed weakly. Then it spoke, crackling like old wires. "You carry the key. Do you wish to claim what I once held?" Ray looked at Vela, then at the frozen king. He shook his head. "No," he said. "I don't want a throne. I want a future." Silence followed. Then, suddenly, the ancient throne cracked open. A golden light burst from it. The cube flew forward and absorbed the light instantly. It shook in midair, then spoke quickly. System reboot initiated, energy fields returning. Guardians realigning. Vela gasped as the entire chamber began to glow. The ceiling melted into a moving sky. Fields of stars appeared above them, and under their feet, green vines began growing through the cracks in the floor. The world was waking, not as a tomb, but as a living memory ready to grow again. Ray stood still, the light from the reboot reflecting in his eyes. Then the cube turned to him, its voice soft and clear. "You are now the carrier of the ancient spark, and the girl beside Yushe is your mirror." Ray looked at Vela. She didn't understand everything, but she smiled anyway, and somehow, in that broken, beautiful world, her smile was the first real sign of peace it had seen in ages. The sky above the alien world cracked open like a shell. A beam of white light burst from the mouth of the forbidden hole. It rose into space, brighter than any sun. Every scanner, every ship, every being across nearby systems turned their eyes toward it, and in that light, two small figures slowly began to descend. Ray Carter and Vela drifted down as if carried by wind made of memory. They were not the same as when they left. Their skin glowed with soft light, their eyes calm like old rivers. The energy around them danced like gentle fire, and behind them, the gate remained open, no longer black and silent. It pulsed with life, with color, with purpose. On the mountain below, alien elders stood in disbelief. The same ones who once laughed at the human, now watched with wide eyes and trembling hearts. "He returned," one whispered, "and he brought something back." Ray landed first, his boots touching the stone platform like it was holy ground. Then came Vela, standing tall beside him, her blue skin glowing like a star under snow. They said nothing at first. The silence itself spoke louder than any words. Then the cube floated down behind them and projected a message. It was a map of the galaxy. But not just stars and planets. It showed pathways, forgotten bridges, hidden worlds, and lost voices. It showed unity, not ruled by power, but connected by courage. Ray stepped forward, his voice firm but kind. The hole was never a trap, he said. It was a door, a test of instinct, a challenge meant only for those who jump without knowing. If they'll fly or fall, the aliens listened. None dared interrupt. Ray looked at Vela, and she nodded. Then she spoke, her voice clear and proud. We were always afraid because we tried to face it alone. But he didn't. He let the unknown take him, and now that unknown has become a path for all of us. From the hole, more light streamed out. The world inside had awakened fully now. Green fields, tall towers, endless sky, all waiting to be explored. But no machines flew out. No armies marched forward. Only silence. A silence that welcomed, not warned, back on the council platform. One of the elders stepped forward. She bowed her head slightly. "We once feared your kind," she said softly, "because humans act without permission." Without understanding, Ray smiled. "Sometimes that's true," he said. "But maybe that's what this place needed. Not perfection, just someone foolish enough to believe." The crowd remained still as the light slowly dimmed. The forbidden hole no longer looked like a wound in the sky. It looked like an invitation, a second chance later that night. Under a sky filled with stars and hope, Ray and Vela sat on the edge of the mountain. She looked at him, head tilted slightly. "What will you do now?" Ray leaned back, arms behind his head. "Build a bridge," he said. "Let others come see what we saw." Vela looked up at the sky, "And if they're not ready?" Ray chuckled. "Then we wait, or maybe we leap again." A breeze blew across the stones, soft and warm, like the breath of a world that had just begun to dream again. And far above them, the stars blinked slowly, as if watching, as if smiling, because one human had dared to jump, and from that leap, a forgotten future had opened wide.